Welcome back to BT. It's Thursday morning, 9:25. A little bit gray out there, but Russ will have your full forecast in a little bit. It's not looking too bad. We're going to bring in News 1130's Liza Yuzda, legislative reporter right now in Victoria. So many things to talk about when it comes to BC politics and COVID-19. Good morning, Liza.
Good morning, Thor.
Let's start with sports. This has been going back and forth, but Vancouver could again become a hub city when the NHL eventually reopens.
And I know there are people, I tweeted about this yesterday, and I got some of the gifts that are like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So what has happened is the Canucks came up with a plan that would allow Vancouver to be a hub city. And there's been a lot of talk about this, but yesterday, finally, Premier John Horgan said that Dr. Bonnie Henry, the provincial health officer, looked at it and has given it the thumbs up. Now, border rules are not provincial mandate, they are federal. So he said, the Premier says he sent a letter to the Prime Minister saying, you know, they've given it the go-ahead, and now the Prime Minister has to make his decision. Now, one of the things that I found interesting in it is that when the Premier was announcing it, he said, oh, and we've done a bit of a modification about the quarantine rules. Well, I think modification for some people might be a little bit underselling it, because what they're allowing is within the first 14 days that teams would come here, they will be allowed to isolate together. Well, okay, if you travel back as a family, you can all isolate together. But in this plan, they would be allowed to be at the hotel together, travel to the Rogers Arena together to practice, and then back again. So they would have to stay together in a pod, but unlike other people who come back to quarantine, to isolate, who would have to stay in one place, these folks would be allowed to go back and forth in their own secured, paid-for transportation, but go back and forth.
Interesting. A couple of concessions being made there for professional athletes. We'll follow that one as we continue to do, because we all love our hockey here. Before we get to the border issue, let's talk about the latest COVID numbers in the province.
Well, it was a good sign again yesterday. There was another day with 0 deaths. There were 12 new cases, and of course we don't want to see any new cases, but it was 5 days in a row of no additional deaths. We're sitting at 167 people in the province who have passed away from the virus, and of course that's tragic, but we're halting the spread, or halting the deaths, at least at this point. One of the concerning things, though, that came out of that yesterday is, and it's been talked about for a few days, is the community spread. There have been a couple of cases in the Fraser Health region where there were families that got together. One in particular, 30 people got together, 15 have tested positive for COVID-19. She said it was a little bit inside, a little bit outside, but it just shows how vulnerable we are if we let down our guard.
We're doing a great job here in terms of the province and restrictions and things like that. Not so much the case always down south. Let's talk about border restrictions. Wouldn't expect the border to be reopened anytime soon, according to the province.
No, we were waiting for official word on that. The border was supposed to reopen, I believe it's June 21st. Dr. Henry, Health Minister Adrian Dix, Premier have been hitting home lately that although we are doing well here, we are only safe as our closest partners. And our partners in the states, some states have seen increases, like in Washington State. Other states have seen massive spikes. Arizona, Nevada, there's states that are really having a challenging time since they've reopened there. There have been a lot of increases in a number of states, and states to our south, Oregon, California, and it just leaves us at risk. So it's quite clear that none of our leadership are welcoming the idea of the border opening anytime soon.
And Liza, as we wrap quickly, let's talk about the effect the pandemic is having on the BC guide dogs.
Oh, I did this story about the guide dogs. I saw a couple walking in my neighborhood the other day, and it's really challenging for them because the training they do is so hands-on. They do puppy training, then they do advanced dog training, and then they have to transition the dogs into their homes. Especially the last two steps are very hands-on. And so they thought they were going to put about 39 dogs into homes this year, and now that's cut in half as they're trying to figure out how to work around physical distancing.
Wow, another group that needs our support now more than ever. Thanks as always, Liza. We really appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. That's News 1130's Liza Yuzda, legislative reporter in Victoria. Much more BT to come. Stick around.